Steve Stewart. His talk is called No Debt, No Credit, No Problems. His blog is Money Plan SOS, and you can find him on Twitter as Money Plan SOS. Everyone give it up.
I had to follow all of that. How y'all doing tonight? Yeah? How many of you guys are excited to be debt-free or to be debt-free someday? Yeah. I think everybody wants to be debt-free, don't you? But so few of us actually try to live a debt-free lifestyle. I mean, is it even possible to live debt-free in the United States today? You gotta have a credit card to buy stuff online. You gotta have a bunch of different debt products to keep a good FICO score, right? You are required to sit in the finance office 3 times as long as the car you test drove, right? Well, it doesn't need it, by the way. And the people like me who are trying to live debt-free, and a lot of you too, we've just come to the realization that credit, it's just a bunch of hassle. It's so hard to keep track of all the things we're trying to manage, all the different accounts, and credit leads to debt, and we know debt's expensive. But it doesn't have to be that way, because now the market has answered all of our calls. We have everything we need to live a debt-free lifestyle. I mean, here's the first one. You know, the debit card, of course, where we used to pay cash and write checks for things. We now have an electronic version of payment with no debt involved. Well, you might say, well, you know, debit cards aren't safe, right? Well, it's not entirely true. We know ATM cards, the ATM function is not safe, but a debit card with a Visa or MasterCard logo on it has the exact same protection as a credit card when used like a credit card. Even Visa says so. Yeah, but I like to get my reward points, right? We know that. Markets answered that problem too. You know you can get a Perk Street checking account and you can earn rewards for things like Amazon gift cards, Target, Starbucks. Of course you can get cash back as well, all for paying for things with a Perk Street debit card, no debt involved. But you know, you gotta have a credit card to travel, right? Who believes this? For years my family and I have traveled without a credit card, and we've never had anybody refuse our money because we weren't paying with a credit card. So that's another myth that's just busted. But you just gotta have a plan. Set some savings goals. Use something like payoff.com, or my family and I, we're using YNAB right now, thanks Jesse, and we're tricking ourselves into saving for my family's next new car, or used car really. In fact, here's a neat little frugal tip. Take a whole bunch of those $100 bills that you saved in cash and take it to some good old boy's front yard and hand it to him and ask him if he'll give you a good deal on that truck in his front yard. He might give it to you. Now I feel like I need to talk about credit because so much of our world seems to be run on this thing. And everybody, you know, all the PF bloggers in here, we know the components of the FICO score, right? You can recite them by heart. Well, when I looked at these really closely, we can see they all have to do with a debt. Well, even though that's all has to do with debt, you can still have a good FICO score simply by just paying your debts and your bills on time. Well, I'm not going to have any debt in my life, so I'm not going to have to settle for a good FICO score. By the way, I think it's really interesting that you can pay your cell phone every single month and it does not improve your credit score one bit. But miss it 1 month and you can have a bad one. Think about it. It's interesting. Now, how do you have a great credit score? That's what everybody wants to know, right? Read up on a bunch of blogs that talk about improving your credit score. Open up a bunch of different lines of credit. Don't use all of it, definitely not use enough of it, and make sure that you are understanding that you've got a bunch of accounts that can be compromised, open to identity theft, and interest charges. Now, the perfect score is supposed to be 850, right? Craig Watts from FICO once said that while a perfect credit score is technically possible, it may not be possible for anyone to achieve. So what the heck are we doing all this for, right? So I submit to you the conundrum, the paradox that by paying cash for things, I don't have any debt, and by not having any debt, I have more money to save in cash for things, which means I'll have a 0 FICO score, so I submit to you that 0 is probably the perfect FICO score. Yeah. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait a minute, Steve, what about buying a house? Okay, until your blog makes $1 million, it's going to be hard to pay cash for a house, I understand. But did you know you can get a house without with a 0 FICO score? It's just manual underwriting, and the market has answered that call as well, and it's called eCredible. See, by law, any creditor that rates you with a FICO score is required to consider anything that you hand them that proves your creditworthiness. And eCredible simplifies that. You go on to eCredible, sign up for an account. It's just like entering bill pay into your bank, but you're just making this list of your monthly bills that you pay. And then when you want to show your creditworthiness to a mortgage lender, you call up eCredible, and in a week or two, they give password-protected access to your creditworthiness report to the lender, and you're done. So it's pretty cool. And it's not just for people who are trying to live debt-free like us. You know, it is for people who might have some debt and are trying to bolster their FICO score. Or maybe it's somebody who had problems 2-3 years ago. Anybody know who had problems 2-3 years ago and their FICO score sucks right now? this could help them as well. So we have all the pieces of the puzzle together right now to be able to live in the United States with no debt and no credit and have no problems. Thank you.